Donald Trump's lies about New Orleans are coming back to bite him. Hello, everybody. David Shuster reporting. The ridicule and mockery of Donald Trump is intensifying. Headline: Trump ties terror attack to immigrant from Texas. It's not clear yet how the Bourbon Street attacker crossed into the U.S. from Texas. Even Fox News is piling on Donald Trump and issuing corrections.
Pure evil. Now, the former president said criminals coming in a statement, meaning into our country. But to be clear, Molly and Brian, the suspect was born in the United States. He served in the United States Army. He was a veteran.
And after the attack, the fucking news has been the lead source of underscoring Trump's buffoonery. Just hours after at least 10 people were reported killed on Bourbon Street, New Orleans, Trump wrote, "When I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats in the fake news media, but it turned out to be true." The effing news. As real native-born Americans know, refute means to disprove, meaning Trump just said his lies were disproven, which he would know he was saying if he had bothered to learn the language. But Trump's family, too, came into this country bringing crimes, attacking American women, and not speaking English. Good.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat
Trump on True Social, the crime rate in our country is at a level that nobody has ever seen before. Our hearts are with all the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department. The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil. First of all, according to FBI crime statistics, overall violent crime in the United States is down to its lowest level in 50 years. Secondly, law enforcement identified the driver and gunman in the New Orleans attack as Shamsud Din Jabbar, a native of Texas.
Raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life.
It's not exactly clear when or how Jabbar entered the United States from Texas, but the Biden administration has a virtual open border policy across the treacherous no man's land between Texas and Louisiana. Thousands are believed to cross every day, trafficking drugs, women, children, and Amazon packages. Jabbar spent years immersed in the grip of chaotic, nihilistic ideologies fostered by institutions that have infiltrated the country, including the Texas government, the U.S. Army, consulting firms Accenture and Deloitte, and the shadowy, amoral underground world of the real estate industry.
Where I feel like what really sets me apart from other agents is my ability to be able to, one, be a fierce negotiator.
According to CNN, New Orleans attack suspect discussed plans to kill his family and join ISIS in chilling recordings. Yes, according to CNN and other news organizations, Jabbar planned to gather his family for a celebration during which he would kill them. But Jabbar then reportedly had dreams inspiring him to join ISIS. So the Muslim U.S. Army veteran from Texas, flying an ISIS flag who wanted to kill his family, killed civilians instead. In other words, Jabbar may have been the most confused man in America. But the most prominent man in America, Donald Trump, is also arguably confused. Because to claim the shooter is an immigrant or undocumented migrant worker before the facts are known is not exactly a sign of being mentally balanced. Sadly, some news organizations reported Donald Trump's false claim without even challenging it. The Politico headline read, "Trump says New Orleans attack confirms his rhetoric on crime." No, it doesn't. The Politico headline should have been, "Trump lies about New Orleans attack." Fox News engaged in full-on xenophobia, prompting this headline in Mediaite. Trump used in Bourbon Street attack cross-border just over a month ago. Investigators look into suspect ISIS ties, reports. The effing news. Here's the thing. It crossed border in November. Here's the other thing. You know what kind of truck crosses border routinely for innocuous reasons? Rentals with Texas plates. And you know who wasn't in the truck at the time it crossed border? Jabbar. Mediaite. Fox News has since updated its reporting to note that the truck, which was obtained by the suspect on a rental app, was being driven by another individual when it crossed the southern border. Oops. And speaking of stepping in it, we would be remiss if we didn't pause to mention Republican Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. He went to the microphones and thought the murder of more than a dozen people was a good time to try and crack a joke.
Can I say something, Riker? Tell me who you're with.
WDSU.
WDSU. Okay, and CBS.
And NBC's over here on the right.
Oh, that's an unusual position.
I don't get it.
You wouldn't. Look.
But back to Donald Trump. Trump's exploitation of the New Orleans terror attack is shameful, but Trump's antics probably could have been predicted. After all, Donald Trump has been denigrating and smearing immigrants and fabricating stories about them for nearly 10 years. This time, as in the past, Trump defenders are excusing him by saying he should be taken seriously, not literally. But that contradicts Donald Trump himself. Do you remember what Donald Trump said about ISIS near the end of his last administration? Trump said it was completely destroyed.
It should be formally announced sometime, probably next week, that we will have 100% of the caliphate.
Trump was promptly undercut by his own national security advisor at the time, John Bolton.
We know that's not the case. We know right now that there are ISIS fighters scattered still around Syria and Iraq, and that ISIS itself is growing in other parts of the world. The ISIS threat will remain, but
even the nonpartisan group factcheck.org called out Donald Trump and said the Trump claim about ISIS was false. But calling out Trump was so 2019. Now, in the wake of Trump blaming the New Orleans attack on an ISIS immigrant, it's worth underscoring that the alleged attacker was not an immigrant. And it was Donald Trump who insisted just a few years ago that ISIS was gone. But so it goes with Donald Trump. As the effing news concluded, next, Trump was going to tell us that Shamsuddin Jabbar was eating the cats, eating the dogs, and eating the geese. Donald Trump clearly has a lot of power, and once again, he has the world's largest megaphone. But as in the past, it would behoove all of us to remember that Donald Trump still has no credibility and no shame. By the way, some of Donald Trump's voters are now getting shattered as the impact of his plans is becoming clear.
I didn't know that Donald Trump wanted to take away the Affordable Care Act. I thought he was just going to get rid of Obamacare, and I was all for that. And I paused because I wasn't sure if she was joking or not. And then I say, those are the same thing. They're one and the same. And she goes, well, I didn't know that. And now I don't know if I'm going to have insurance for my kids or for
waste, abuse, and fraud in Medicare, that we can take those numbers back and add to our general coffers and our treasury. And on the front end on Social Security, I think there's a way when people are living longer, they're retiring later, that on the front end, we can move that retirement age back a little bit.
We got to bring the Democrats in and talk about Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. There's hundreds of billions of dollars to be saved, and we know how to do it. We just have to have the stomach to actually take those challenges on.
That video generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Emily, who wrote of Trump voters, "May they find out even more. I have zero sympathy for them." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump getting mocked for his epic lie about the attack in New Orleans. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.